All right. What's up? You are first, 619. Well done. It's, what is it? October 8th today, 2025, State of the Networks. Looks like I'm rolling. Oh, not rolling solo. Here comes Joe. Stand by. Let's see if we can loop in Monsieur Helium. Stand by. What's up, Joey?
Morning. I
Good morning.
changed my camera setup. I feel like I'm centered a little different.
Yeah. Gotta show off that
I'm just gonna
giant chest from on the fucking
slouch the whole
bench.
show.
Hell yeah,
Yeah,
buddy.
there's not that much of that.
Yeah.
There's too much
No.
time at the computer.
Yeah. It's like I gotta sneak mine in a couple times a week. Okay, let's see. Top of the hops here, Onocoy. Boop, boop, boop. Let's get those guys going there at Intergeo this week. This seemed like a week of conferences and people going to these various pieces. Is this the episode Joey shares the screen and we all get to see the Discord deleted? No, I actually wanted to ask Joey about that because I missed the whole thing. And I'm sure you're
Oh
totally
yeah,
fresh and ready to talk about it. Now, let's see.
nothing
Anyone?
ever happens.
No. Anyone domains are being used for staking. They're still working on Android apps. They've got a bug bounty program. I thought this was pretty cool that they are treating the bug bounty, or they're gamifying it. So there's like the whole series of bug bounties that you can go and collect. I thought that was pretty rad. Helium's doing a hotspot giveaway on X. So if you want a free hotspot, go check them out and sign that up. And then it looks like Amir is getting in discussions with various haters about what's happening with HNT and who's buying what and how much. I always like listening to what Amir has to say on HNT. He's seems like a good dude and seems to crush it. I know. Yeah, I like getting information straight from the top. In Hivemapper land, I'm sure this is 619's favorite thing to talk about right now, but bees are available for $19 a month. And it looks like there's a giant push for bees. I haven't, let's see, what was it, 619 that you told me
Also
about?
with Helium.
Oh, and they're with Helium. That's right.
Yeah.
So do they ship with like an eSIM? Is that what it is? Badass.
I believe it's a physical sim actually.
Something like, oh, okay. Fancy.
Yeah.
GeoNet Land, they announced a new thing that looks an awful lot like my SparkFun doodad that I had a while ago. So that was just kind of cool to see. What is Wi-Fi Dabba talking about? They're another conference hitter. So they're going to, I think they just went to Apex. They're going to Breakpoint in Abu Dhabi in December. DIMO is going to the Argus IoT Convention. I didn't spell it right in the description, but they spelled it right on X. So I'm assuming that's in Spain or somewhere. And then they announced they're live on Grommet. We missed a couple weeks, so I'm catching up on some stuff. Some of this is a little bit older, like the Wingbits news that they signed the KoreanAir partnership. That's pretty cool to see. I think they said the reason they got that partnership was because the quality of the data was so good compared to open networks, which is good to hear. Spexi did an interview with CTO Magazine. Their CTO, Peter, what is it, Smansek? I'm going to butcher that name, or I did butcher that name. Sorry, Peter. And they were basically discussing the convergence of GeoINT for GeoIntelligence and AI, and how that is going to be critical to pretty much every business to integrate AI into what they're doing. And of course, with Spexi, they're doing GeoIntelligence with drones. And then in WeatherXM land, I think just finished up DePIN Day. They're working with Beacon 2, which is a UC Berkeley network, to go beyond measuring just the CO2, ozone, and aerosol levels in that area and integrating that with weather data so you see which way the winds are pushing, all of that stuff. So pretty cool to see there. In MeteoScientific land, I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen with the podcast for Helium. I think I put in that, I don't know, grant request 4 or 5 weeks ago, but I know you guys are backed up on stuff, so maybe we'll get to that. Maybe I just haven't seen an email yet. The show still exists, and then I just put up another device at the shop. I've got to build the rest of the dashboard for it. I screwed up the dashboard, so all you see is the total count for the day, but it's a people counter over the door. That's an IoT, it's a MileSite VS351, I think. Super fun, just to, I don't know, like there's something fun about deploying IoT sensors. It's like a pain in the ass every single time, and then you get it, and you're like, oh, cool, working. Which I always like to see. This, good.
I stood up a gateway last night, and I was actually impressed with myself at the docks. It was like,
Nice.
oh yeah, it's not so hard.
Ah,
But,
I'll have to, I still got one to
uh,
stand up, but I need a place to put it. Yeah, I would like to, and I'd like to figure out how do I
it's always the
integrate
challenge. Yeah.
AI and doc stuff and what I'm doing. What else is going on? So that was also the Paleo Treats news that we put in the people counter there. And then PT is doing a bunch of stuff that is not anything to do with IoT yet, but basically building this integrated kind of AI brain for everything we're doing, including our Shopify store and people who walk in. and the people counter is part of that. So kind of fun stuff to see. But and then the sled, I haven't built the. This is kind of a MeteSci thing, but it'll end up being its own piece. I haven't built the new website for the sled. I did the bill of materials. It ends up being about $800, so I'm just deciding when I'm ready to spend that and crush. Let's see. Duck wants more podcasts. Yeah, I want more podcasts too, but I'm not going to do them for free. Let's see. 619 is going back to Hivemapper because they raised 32 million. Well, that's always a good reason to go back. It's like, hey, they got money. Might as well get in there and using it. Let's see. And Duck is also getting in some people counters. Yeah, I think the VS351 was really, it was pretty easy. The huge pain in the ass was the battery pack, but I talked to Milesite. They sent me a new battery pack. And the second one was super easy to open up. So I think they just got a bum one on the first one. Thanks, Travis, on the logo. I'm not sure which one. Maybe that's PT or MeteSci, but all of those logos are made by Kevin. So if you're doing shirts, go check out his stuff down at the bottom at Flywheel Systems.
Speaking of which, he did a podcast the other day with
With you, right?
Sam Lewis, right?
Oh, maybe it was Sam. I saw
Yeah.
something about it on
Yeah.
X. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worth catching. That's floating around out there.
Very cool stuff. What else is going on? I built the traffic thing is up traffic.paleotreats.com, but it's pretty ugly right now. And since I've been collecting data now for a week, I should be able to go and de-uglify it so that you can see the data every day. I think right now it just shows the total stats for one day. So Joe's here. Hey, everyone.
That's cool.
Okay. What's up, Joe?
This would be cool to correlate with your hotspots also.
What do you mean? Oh, like how much they're
sorry,
making?
the mobile hotspots,
Yeah.
because people coming in and out with their phones, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just basically foot traffic that way.
Yeah.
It would give you actually, because the hotspot's only going to see AT&T and T-Mobile and the sort of all the other stuff.
Yep.
And it would actually give you a bit of a correlation to understand other venues and what their foot traffic looks like.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I got so many projects, and the PT Brain project right now is going to take up almost the entirety of my time. Oh, cool. Thanks, 619.
Yeah.
Oh, so this thing is down in the comments if you want to check out the interview, but I'll just put it up here so you see it. Rock, I don't know what O/ is, but I'm guessing it's a wave. What's up, dog? And then Joe, do you like my Ruckus One logo profile? I don't know. I think 619, is that what you dropped off, was a Ruckus One thingamajig? I still haven't plugged it in yet. So, yeah. Joey, what's up, dog? I haven't seen you in, it's been like 2 weeks. We missed the end of September because you were doing the Helium community call.
That's right.
And then last week, I forget what I had, but it was more important than showing up for this. Sorry. What have you been up to?
It's all good. It happens. Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty nonstop on my end. You touched on a couple of things. I guess for a context of like how like I got my new phone. I haven't even opened it yet.
Okay.
It's just been.
Is that an iPhone? Is that the Solana phone? What is that? What do we got here?
No, yes, the iPhone.
Badass.
Went orange like everyone else did. I was thinking about opening it up with the CNC router just to be dramatic and put it up on Twitter or something.
I like that everyone is following, that Apple is following the MeteSci colors. Like, thank you, Apple. You're welcome for leading the branding.
It's a good Helium mobile look too.
Yeah.
I need to try to figure out how to get max extract that one.
Yeah. No, Ducky doesn't like it.
Yeah,
it's not Android. Suck it, Duck.
No. Yeah, no Android. I think it's emphasis on the no Android part.
Yeah.
But you can war drive with other things. You get yourself some little toys to go with iPhone. It works out.
Many toys.
Anyway, yeah, you mentioned events. We had Frank Mong was out at Token. So I can only assume that was great things. I think it was, whenever you're at these events, it is complete nonstop. You don't hear any status updates until like a week later after you take like a 48-hour nap.
Yeah. That's more or less why I stopped going. I was like, dude, I go to these things, I get jammed up, I get way behind.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not trying to build this enormous phone carrier business. So it's like, it's way more effective to sit here at my little screen and be able to go out for a walk with my dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to pick your battles on those things.
Yeah.
I've definitely had times where it's just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Discord. I guess we could dive into
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
so tell me what happened. I missed the whole announcement. I caught a ton of flack on the GK server. I had to ask some people to shut the fuck up about negative shit, um,
Yeah,
which I
sky's
feel
always falling. It's
is
hard, but
correct.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, tell me what happened.
Uh, yeah. Well, I mean, the recognition is basically we've sort of hit a local maxima, right? Like the community is sort of locked into this little bubble in Discord. Nobody talks outside of that. You go to Reddit, and it's all FUD. You go to Twitter, and nobody's talking about it. Um, and so like realistically the Discord wasn't really serving the broader community,
Hmm.
and if you look at the stats, like there weren't really that many active folks in there. It's probably all of the folks that are also in this call.
Welcome.
Like yeah, I
Welcome to the
know.
echo
So
chamber.
like it hurts the folks that we're talking to the most here, right? Like we're
Yeah.
kind of used to this like comfortable spot and we can sort of bounce things off devs and all of that. But I honestly I think it's the right call that the team has made around this in the sort of grander scheme of things. There's going to be some short-term pain, obviously,
Yeah.
trying to figure out where to move working groups to and all that other kind of stuff. Like
That was one of
Twitter's
my
weird
questions.
for
Is
some of
that
that, but
you're
like,
just going to
yeah.
close those down, or what's like? Hey,
Oh no,
done.
no, we're that'll get migrated over. Short term, we're just going to do the exact same thing that we're doing on Twitter. Maybe we'll do like a Riverside or an Ecamm, sort of production out of it as we get our, you know, our bearings a little bit more.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, I mean, we can do all of the same stuff in Reddit. If people ask like, how do I onboard my Bobcat or something? You can answer that. And now it's actually Google indexable. And so you don't have to be like grumpy the like 100th time somebody asks you the same question, right? Um, so there's some benefits there, and I think it'll help offset a lot of the misunderstanding about what Helium's up to. Like most people don't know a mobile network exists. Um, if you look at content out there, like LLM still think it's a LoRaWAN network,
Yeah.
um, only, right? And so like we need really clear messaging around like it's two networks. They serve sort of very distinct different purposes. By doing all of this stuff in Twitter and Reddit and elsewhere, we actually start to get to train those LLMs, which are becoming the command line of the internet, right? Like it is the first query for folks.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
that's what I'm doing with the Paleo Treats
so
brain. Is like optimizing for LLMs. It's you have to.
right, no, you 100%. So yeah, I mean that's I'm probably missing points, right? Like this wasn't my call, but I'm kind of saying the shakeout of it.
Yeah. I mean that
So
makes sense.
yeah,
I think the big thing there that I heard that made the most sense is like, hey, and this is now my words, is Discord has just been an echo chamber for like 30 people for the last 2 years. I think when I first came into it, it was this really thriving group of hundreds of people who were all kind of helping each other out, and Helium was super new, and there wasn't a lot about it, and it was
yeah,
easily by far the best place to get information. You could usually talk directly to anyone on the team, and then over time, that has faded in kind of utility. Now it's like it makes sense to me to say like, all right, we're going to close this thing down, just because normal people. I mean, when I see people who come into Paleo Treats, I'm like, hey, are you on Discord? It's almost like a secret handshake where they're like, most of them
yeah,
are like, what's that? Or isn't that for gamers?
yeah,
So
yep.
we can't build a network if it's all secret handshakes. Let's see. Oracle of
Also,
Truth
it kind of sucks,
619OTA. Are you
right?
guys gonna go ahead?
Just to be clear, like Discord is like broken constantly.
Is it?
So yeah, like you go and try and start a call on there and you get muted and people in Germany can't hear you. Like it's been like this for over a year. Like
Sit
get your shit
Germans.
together.
Yeah.
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 Anyway,
You're providing this free
deals.
service that's pretty awesome all the time. You guys
Well,
should
it's
really get
not
your shit
free.
together.
Like
Yeah.
we do server boosts and stuff.
Yeah.
So to like keep all that. But anyway.
Yeah. Let's see.
Anyway,
Or are you guys gonna kill off mobile mapping? Is this true? 609 always always
kill off
speaks the
mobile
truth.
mapping. There's a HIP, what, 148? I'm drawing a blank on it.
Okay.
But yeah, it effectively removes the requirement for the Helium mobile subscribers to participate in mapping.
Or it
So
removes the
we'll
requirement, but you still
discuss.
could.
I think so. I don't know. I haven't
Okay.
followed this one super closely, so
All
don't
right.
quote me on it. Um,
Consider yourself
but it's
quoted.
a I know like Chris Farabee and Mad Ninja and folks, the sort of mobile working group folks have been sort of hot in debate on that one. Um, the, what I've heard on the carrier side is like it is very hard to collect that data on a subscriber, right? Like the thing disconnects, they have to go re-enable it all the time. Um, you get all these like weird data fed in there. At the end of the day, like the data volume isn't quite big enough to really be of like immense value. So I could
Okay, so
understand why they
it's
would.
not a thing of um,
The big friction point.
it's super valuable. It's one of those things like if it was easy, it would be super valuable, but it's not easy, so it's not really worth it. Is that right?
That's a good way to say it. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The juice is not worth the squeeze, as someone on the team likes to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I'm sure as many people on the team say. What
Yeah.
else is going on, dog? What have you been up to with nerd stuff?
Uh, I've been playing with the CNC router a bunch,
Okay.
doing a variety of 3D printing things, and so yeah, that's my weekends playing around with toys. And I've got a couple of like Lorwyn things like cooking in the back of my head that I think I might try to knock a couple out maybe this weekend. Particularly, we're going to start doing these working group calls on new venues, and there'll be more than 50 people in the audience. Like it'd be kind of cool to like come in with some heat and show some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so I also
Yeah. Yeah.
point at Teague if he's got some cool show and tell stuff. Maybe we can throw that out there on next Monday.
He's always got
Um,
some rad stuff.
yeah. Um, so yeah, it's there's a bunch of cool stuff happening on the IoT side of the network. Um, I've been having some ongoing conversations with a large fleet of devices, trying to make sure that they get across the line. It's
Just
corporate
get
and
him on the
slow, and
MetSci.
just
Get him
oh,
on that
they're too
MetSci
big for you.
console.
Sorry. Yeah, they actually started there though.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
that's
rad.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Be able to like throw some devices on and just see some packets moving. It really helped tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then there's some people doing really cool stuff with data only hotspots, and I won't give away too much yet because I'm hoping to
Okay.
get maybe to get them to do some demos. But
Cool.
two completely separate parties have started throwing together sort of their own version of a multi-gateway client where they can just throw a bunch of gateways at a single server and have it sort of stand up instances of gateway RS dedicated each one of those gateways. Um, so kind of excited to get into a little bit more details and understand how they're exactly automating that process, but it looks pretty cool. One of them does like the full onboard and assert and all that stuff. Um,
Nice. Heck yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Let's
I was
see.
running the queries last night on data only hotspots, and it's definitely like trending upwards. Cool to see.
Dude, I tried to run the Dune query, like the normal one that I run to see how much DC is left in the MetSci account because you ping me the other day, like, hey,
Mm,
you're starting to get low. And it said it
mhm.
timed out, and I just don't use Dune enough to know whether that was my account not being able to run a query or if it was something bigger with on the Helium side where like it
Uh,
can't run that many.
the free accounts, I could probably optimize the query first of all, because you just need a count. You don't need the whole history. Um, Although you do probably want like a 7-day history. Anyway,
Yeah, it was. I mean, because
uh,
it's the resource
basically
that I use to
the
check.
the free Dune accounts give you slower boxes to run those queries against, and then if that's a fairly large query, which the DC rollups are, because they're taking all these transactions and summing them up over a period of time, then they're prone to timing out. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, we gotta have a GPT-5 make that more efficient for you. Like, build me a more efficient
yeah.
query. Go.
Well, yeah. um,
Okay.
I do want to get some sort of alerting together for that. That's another thing that's been in the back of my head is just like add a little tool to Docs that lets people get an email notification. It could be a Valtown, go fork this program, plug in your OUI, it says the rest kind of thing.
You and your
Uh,
Valtown. Hell yeah. I tried
it
Replit the other
works.
day.
Yeah.
It was a super impressive. I haven't
Yeah.
touched that thing in like
Uh,
2 years, and I jumped on. I was like, "Holy shit, this thing's working really well."
Yeah, the tooling out there is wild, but people have really accelerated this stuff sort of around the growth of people wanting to like hack on stuff with AI.
Yeah, Let's see. I've got some other news that's adjacent to all this stuff. So we'll start with the closest thing. Paleo Treats has been for these social media things. We've been hiding envelopes of cash, like 20 or 40 bucks, and then a 40 or $80 gift card, whatever, around the neighborhood. And we'll post it on IG like, hey, this got hidden here. And if you're in the neighborhood, you know exactly where the location is. If you're not, it's probably much more difficult. And we're like, oh, we'll just see where this goes. And they're getting found within like 20 minutes every time. So we'll post it and someone will pick it up in 20 minutes. And so we're thinking like, oh, what can we do to make it to lengthen it out? And one of the things is like, how do we use a tracker with this? And so the idea we've got right now is that we hide a tracker, you grab the tracker, and then you've got to go around and find like where it pings. So if you have like an oyster tracker and you go into a place that's geofenced, then it somehow like sends you a message that like you hit the right
Mm,
place. And now you get the
hmm.
prize, and maybe the prize is a little bit bigger because you're dealing with more bullshit.
Hmm. I like that. It would make it a little bit more dynamic. Um,
Yeah,
this
we
remind
get
there's some folks in the Bay Area that did this like hidden treasure chest
yeah.
thing, and it took like 2 weeks for people to find it. So there's some cool stuff out there like that.
Yeah, I've been telling Lee and Courtney to make it more difficult to hide, but I think we wanted to start out with some like easy wins for folks. So I was like, oh, we
Yeah.
should we should like rent a lift truck and put like $1,000 on a traffic light that's hanging over an intersection. And they're like, no, we're not doing that.
Somebody's gonna die doing
Yeah,
your thing. Yeah, you
I was
can't
like,
do
let's,
that.
yeah, we'll put some cameras up. It'll be great. It'll be like the old Faces of Death videos you used to watch in high
No.
school. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe not so much for PT. The other thing
Yeah.
I've been doing, and I'm just curious to see if you guys are doing this similar thing at Nova, and then for the audience in general, is we have weekly meetings at PT, twice weekly meetings with employees, and I think 2 meetings ago, I was like, hey, from here on out, it's always been like, hey, you can use AI. We've got a ChatGPT account for the company; they can get on it. And it's like from here on out, you guys will use AI. The first thing you'll do is you'll
Hmm.
describe to ChatGPT everything you do about your job and ask how you can integrate AI and LLMs and anything into it.
Mm, yeah.
Because I see like we're a little 4-person company. I think we can not behave, but we can have the ability to be a 100-person company with just the same 4 people if I get everyone using AI at the same general level as certainly as I'm using it. Because like, oh, the people counter thing took me, I don't know, like maybe 2 hours to build. Where it's like, all right,
Hmm.
throw up this thing over the door and now build a little website for it, and that's it. And I'm thinking if everyone else in the company can be using it at that same general level where it's like, hey, I'm just going to use this to solve what would otherwise be really technically difficult problems, whether that's inventory or labels. And I've got something on labels in a second. That would be super cool. Are you guys getting any push on your end from Nova where it's like, hey, use more AI?
Oh yeah. Um, Amir is constantly being like, "What are we doing?" Like, you know, whether it's marketing or engineering or anything in between, right? Like, there's outputs on all that stuff. Um, some of the team has built some really cool pipelines around it. I won't give maybe too much away, but yeah, it's definitely becoming much more integrated, kind of across the stack.
Nice.
I'm actually doing an experiment. Um, I need to get back to it, but basically augmenting all of the data that we submit to carriers to sort of give more context around all these venues. Like that's a really sort of simple thing in our minds, right? But it has a pretty big impact to help people make those decisions on offload. Um, so yeah,
Badass. Okay.
we're doing all sorts of stuff in that domain, and then I'm also excited about was it Cusco turned into inference dot XYZ or something? I can't remember what it's
Okay.
called now. Uh, deep in distributed compute for open AI models, basically. So they're the service, they stand you up a API key, and then you can just blast stuff out to as many computers as you want. Uh, the benefit is that it's pretty cheap. So I'll probably do all of my initial exploration on OpenAI just because
Mm-hmm.
I am getting results that I like there,
Yep.
and then try to see if I can go cater those a little bit more around the ecosystem, open tooling. Just mostly just cool to be able to throw a bone out to another project.
Yeah. 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 Let's see. I'm curious to see what the folks who are watching this do. I built this thing, USDlabels.work. So we had an issue at Paleo Treats where we'll come up with all these recipes, and we've
Hmm.
in the past have hired people to come up with recipes, but someone will be like, oh, well, how many
Mm.
whatever carbs are on an apple strudel? And so there was this, and there still is. You can go get these free labels made, but it's kind of a pain in the ass, and they want you to sign up just like this thing wants you to sign up. But I was like, oh, you know what we can do is we can build this tool for ourselves internally. So I built it with ChatGPT, where you throw in a recipe there and it prints out all the macros and gives you a recipe label, and it pulls directly from the USDA database. So it's like I'm not making any of it up. It's just like, oh, this is what
Hmm.
the government has spent a couple $1 million to figure out how much protein is in a whatever grain of rice.
Like, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you'll put in like, oh, I'm using 100 grams of rice or 2 cups of flour or a stick of butter or whatever it is. And it'll go back and say, all right, what's the USDA amount for 100 grams of butter? And then how do I multiply that to get this thing to spit out the correct amount? And then I was like, oh, what would be really good for us, because I spent time building it, is I would just make this into a product. And
Hmm.
so if you sign up for an account, you can get a 70% referral code by getting other people to sign up and
Nice.
buy this thing.
70% is a serious
Yeah. I was like,
that's
ah,
a
fuck it.
bonus.
Like, I built the thing. It's already alive. I think it's like $50 for 50 recipes or $200 for lifetime access. I'm like, that seems pretty reasonable to me. If you're
Yeah.
making a lot of recipes and if you're like an Instagrammer putting these things out all the time, and you just don't want to deal with it. And all of the other stuff I saw was subscriptions. And I just,
Mm.
I'm not like just like everyone, nobody likes a subscription because then you just forget about it. And
Right.
$600
Well,
and 2
and
years later, you're like, damn it, I didn't use that.
if you're doing this work, you're not doing it every month. You're doing it once, and then you set your stuff, and maybe you do another one later, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just not the right pattern.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So this was kind of like a fun thing to build, but that was like it was an example for our employees, like, hey, this is what you could build, and not only can it be good for you, it can be a cool little product for everyone. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's a great prompt to throw to folks. I know, like Coinbase, sort of most recently, famously has sort of made that mandate. It's like if you do not integrate this, you are fired. um,
I didn't know that. Oh,
like
cool.
yeah, and that's kind of up and down the stack. And then they're like, if there's an exception, you have to talk to the CEO about it. Like there's kind of, you know, rare cases where you might want to not touch LLMs, right? Legal or
Yeah.
HR or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people are really starting to take that seriously. I think that the OpenAI Dev Day was, just this past week. So sort of seeing all these projects popping up. And then like your thing, this labels, like I think a lot of these companies, um, they, I don't know, like remove background from an image, have just like turned into businesses. It's kind of wild. Like people just need this stuff to work, and there's a gap between building and like using. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the thing that I forget, and going back to Discord, if I'm in the GK Discord all the time, like I'm surrounded by nerds who are almost entirely all way more capable than I am. Right? It's
Right.
seems like pretty rare that someone comes in who is less capable than me. Like everyone else is better.
Mhm.
And so I'm used to this world of like, I could ask any of those guys, like, hey, can you build this thing? And they're like, if it's Gray Hat, he'll build it out of like double plutonium
Paper
isom
clips and yeah.
microchondrite for the 472, whatever the fuck his crazy shit is.
Yeah.
Or like if it's Travis, he's like, oh yeah, I've been fucking around with et cetera, et cetera. Like there's nothing that they can't build. But
Travis's answer is, "Oh yeah, I've got one over here." That's
yeah,
usually
yeah,
my
yeah. This
experience.
company
Yeah.
sent me one of these 4 years ago when I was doing this one contract. Um,
Yeah.
that's Travis. But I was talking with one of my buddies that I kind of grew up with, and it's the other way around. Like he's way behind. He's like, dude, have you tried ChatGPT? I'm like, yeah. As
Yep.
a matter of fact, I have.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, this reminds me.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna note this because I want to talk about it.
So it was just it made me realize like, oh, there's a ton of people out there who don't have the time or the inclination or whatever to kind of the build anything mentality that's in GK and subgroups in that Discord. They just want a thing to work. And that's what the label thing is like, oh, just someone, they don't want to build it themselves. It's not like it's that hard. The USDA API is free to use. It's like, once you understand some of the very basic concepts, it's like almost everything in the internet is free to build on your own.
I mean, you're already in an advantage just knowing that that database exists. Probably majority of folks out there running these businesses haven't even looked, right?
Yeah, they don't even know to look. And so it made me think like, oh, there's probably a shitload of businesses like this labels thing that I could start up and with like, let's call it 8 hours of work to be legit and to go through and squash all the bugs and figure it out. I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't, whatever, the mailgun integration doesn't work, or this thing isn't, dropping, or it forgot about whatever. That like, but within 8 hours, you can kind of build this mini business, push it out there and see what happens and forget about it. And if it runs, then you go back and you're like, all right, I better go fix this thing and make it way better.
Yeah.
But kind of constantly pumping out new ideas is one of the ways I'm thinking about LLMs and AI in general being super useful.
Yeah. Nerd question.
Shoot.
Are you hosting that on Cloudflare?
Mm-hmm.
That subdomain? Okay. I just migrated that sauna sensor thing from S3 bucket, jangly hosted as a website,
Mm-hmm.
to Cloudflare, and holy cow, what a difference.
Dude, Cloudflare
Like
is
just the
crushing.
Yeah. And I was just like, there are so many awesome tools here to support my free tier. Like,
It's
this
insane.
doesn't even make sense at like a commercial scale. Like, it's just great.
Yeah, I think
Like,
a free
if
tier
you're
gives you
watching, like, if you've not done it, just go do it. Like, because it is incredibly empowering to be like,
there,
I just blasted something out to the internet like that.
there's a
So,
super cool link. It's like cloudflare.com/tools or something. They've got a list of all the tools they have. And when you read through it, you're like, JFC, this is amazing. Um, but just so, and that's the free tier. I think I'm on the
yeah.
$5 a month tier, big spender. And it's like,
Yeah.
I can't see there is no reason that I couldn't build a business that makes a couple $100,000 a year on what they give me now. It's just on my
For
imagination
$5 a month.
for
Yeah.
fucking $5 a month. Yeah. And then if
Yep.
it gets to that
Yep.
point where it's like, oh, this is starting to make like 80 grand a month, I will spend more than $5 a month. Like, it's insane
Yeah.
what you can do with Cloudflare.
Yeah, no, it was bonkers. The sauna sensor was working. I was maybe paying like a cent a month or whatever for the S3 hosting of that page, right?
Yeah.
Um, Basically free. But the DNS lookup times were becoming abysmal. Like, you'd pull up the site and it would take like 12 seconds before you saw anything on the page. And so I just had enough of it one day, and I asked ChatGPT, like, how do I move all this shit over? And it did it in like 2 seconds. So it was just like step, 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 and I was done. Um, but it went from that to like 800 milliseconds. And then it had all these extra, like, check this button to optimize your Google fonts. Like, and just like gigabrain stuff. Because, like, you don't know this, but like, every time you load a web page, it has to go out and fetch all this other stuff, and it has to do DNS lookups for every other resource that you're trying to load into the page.
Yep.
And if you can take those things and just put them on the same server where you've already done the lookup, you just saved yourself all of that like mouse maze activity of trying to
Yep.
find that asset.
Yep.
So they built this cool thing that just indexed all of Google fonts and puts it right on that edge server where your hosted thing is. And that's a button check. It inserts, like, strips and reinserts that Google font, and you're done.
Done. Yep.
That saved like 2.5 seconds or a second and a half off my load time. It was
Yeah. No,
just
I
very
think,
cool.
and for folks looking at this who are seeing it, I would say the things to look at is look at the Cloudflare worker, which is where you'd build your website on. It used to be Cloudflare pages. LLMs will tell you to use Cloudflare pages, but they're wrong because Cloudflare has said
Mhm.
we're deprecating
They're
pages.
both
So it's
under like that same index now. Yeah.
so Cloudflare worker, and then D1 databases is where you can keep all your stuff. And I think you have like 5
Or
million rows on a database that's free,
do KV store. I like the KV store.
or
That's
you
kind
can
of
do
like
KV
my jam.
storage.
Yeah.
And then if you have
Yeah.
images or videos
Key
or whatever,
value.
R2. Yeah,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
R2
Yeah.
bucket. Like, there are those four things. So D1 databases, the KV key value, the R2 bucket, and the worker, and you can build anything.
Yep.
So
yeah, I've stood up like all sorts of like just like the marketing team at Nova is like, I need this thing fed in live for our website or whatever. And I was like, rather than go build a ticket and explain this to a dev and build a
Done.
pipeline and stand up a server, East Cloudflare free tier. Like you've got Mad Ninja rolls his eyes at me and like shakes his fist, but it gets the job done,
Yeah, build
and
me
it's going to
something
be
better.
there until that. Yeah, I mean that marketing page is going to be short term, whatever anyway. So it's like you can go stand up a thing and get it done,
Yeah.
um, and
No,
it's
it's
been working perfectly. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Anyway,
I think
this
like
is
every site I've built I mean, the last year has been just like, oh, this is a Cloudflare worker. There's no
yeah,
need for anything else.
yeah. I want to pull this back to the
What was your note?
your
Yeah.
friend and the AI thing and the
Yeah.
experiences there. Last call we had together, you were telling me about your experience using the OpenAI app, the ChatGPT app, and talking to it as a
Oh, dude.
podcast.
Yeah.
I did it the other day. I was like driving home from San Francisco and I was
Okay.
like, oh, I'll give this a try. And that drive just blew by because I just like it. Obviously, it's got some rough edges. Like it's a little bit too like, oh, wow, that's an amazing question. You're like,
Yeah.
dude, just let whatever. Uh, but man, I had just like a cool like breakdown. I had this idea in my head and I was able to explore it with this expert sitting next to me, basically. It was the coolest thing. I'm like, I have no reason to go just like searching for podcasts anymore. Like I'll listen to my subscriptions, but game changer on that front. That was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Well, shout out to Nick Huff at the old Helium Vision for that thing. He's like, hey, do you ever chat with it? I'm like, or he's telling me that he chats with it as they walk around. I'm like, what do you mean? And he just sent me a thing, the big arrow pointing to the microphone. It's like, oh, I'll try that. And the same as you. It's like,
Yep.
it's crazy. Keenan told us to stop being so positive. I think that's the thing that is
There you
dangerous,
go.
and
Yeah.
where it's just like, oh, that's such a good idea. And I've learned a thing like,
Stop stroking my ego. Yeah.
yes, stop saying that.
yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
that means what you think it means.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think it knows what it thinks it means. It's you're always talking to the mishmash of every content that's out there. But
Yeah.
um,
You're always talking to the next word, the most likely next word.
yeah. Yeah, I'll have to try that the next time. I'm just gonna lay out some ground rules as part of the conversation and we'll go from there. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I think there's some stuff because mine keeps saying, "Oh, that's a really good idea," and no one else is doing that. I'm like, there's no fucking chance that I'm just thinking about SEO now and coming up with some idea that no one else has
Yeah.
come up with.
You could ask it to build like a, garage shelving out of peanut butter or something, and it's gonna be like, oh wow, that's an amazing
That's
idea.
so good. No one has thought about
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope Keenan's doing
Um,
direct access to voice chat. I mean, Lee was gone for a week, and so I didn't. It sounds bad. I didn't have anyone to talk to, so it's like I'd be making dinner and be like, "Hey, talk me through." Like right now, interestingly enough, for me, is I don't know how to code, and I've built all of these websites that are all coded, right? But there's things that are like giant gaps in my knowledge, like how should a database be structured, and how do you think
mm,
through building a database before you do a project? Those are like really
mm,
big, important foundational things, and I have just ignored them and been like, I'll let ChatGPT do it. But it's bit me enough where it's like, oh yeah, let's do this alter table and let's add this and let's add that, and then it adds like a bunch of extra fucking tables that are redundant or inefficient. And so I had the realization the last week or so, like, all right, Nick, when you do a new project, you've got to build the database, at least like lay out like, hey, these are the tables I want, and then these are, I think, the rows or whatever in each table.
yeah. I I am actually to the point now where the bigger sort of LLM driven projects, this carrier review tool that I was talking about, um, it is a product spec in Google Docs that I then will go and paste into the LLM rather than doing sort of the iterative, like, oh, maybe add this button. Because I find the project falls apart at those
Yep.
points
Yep.
or it loses context. Um, so it really just becomes a PM exercise at that point, and you just have to be a little bit of an expert across a bunch of different stuff to sort of make those right choices. Um, so yeah, that's totally just textbook education at that point. Like, tell me what the trade-offs are, and you don't need to understand the inner workings of it, and it'll figure out the rest. You trust your devs. The devs are the LLM. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that part's been super cool. And just thinking through the database, of course, makes your own thinking sharper and you have a better understanding of it,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is rad.
Like
What's
when I
Travis?
chose the KV store for the sauna sensor,
Yeah.
I was like, what are all the ways that I could store this stuff? I want it to just, I mean, the only things I care about is fetching the recent data, and I want it to be wicked fast, right? And in my experience doing a full database and doing the lookup and crawling, managing an index and all that other stuff, the KV store is basically just going to map directly to the JSON that I'm pumping out of it. So it ended up giving me like a pretty good like mental context for handling that data, and then gave me design parameters around it.
Huh. I've tried to use
Anyway,
KV stuff for a bunch, but it always seems that the D1 is the better option, but maybe I'm just not asking the question in the right way.
yeah, it's basically just anytime you need a long-term store of something, but like if you're going to be doing more complex stuff, like if you need to merge data or like manipulate or manage user accounts, like it starts to become a lot cleaner to do that in an actual database.
Mm-hmm.
Because just imagine you're basically mapping your entire project into a big JSON blob, right? That is
Okay.
effectively what's in there. Um, it's what Solana is basically a giant KV store, right? It's just here's a user account, here's the shit that's in it, right? That's that all the way down. Um,
Turtles.
so so yeah, you can get really complicated with stuff, and your value can be more JSON, right? Like it can be a blob inside of a blob or objects or whatever. Um, but yeah, like this API thing that I did, I didn't need a database. I only needed something that was just going to persist between those worker operations. And so it was like, go fetch all the recent data once a day, write it down here. Anytime somebody queries it, go read that and send it back out. And so that was my sort of home base for where that data lived.
Hmm. Yeah, cool. I mean,
Anyway,
I'll,
could do
I'll
it either
keep
way.
keep mucking
It's
about
all
with it. I think the
trade-offs.
the one thing I've been
Yeah.
stymied on is I haven't been able to build an X or Twitter tool because their API access is super expensive, and
Yeah.
that's a bummer
Like
because
5 grand or something.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. And in fact, the most like liked, commented, whatever comment I have on X across the board is when I hate to say it, when I was complaining about X and saying like, hey, I tried the $200 a month and it's just not worth it. Like it's so much more worth it to do $200 a month for ChatGPT. Like I get so much more value out of it. And even at
Mm,
$200 or whatever it was, like you still don't get that much access on the X
mm.
API. There's like tens of thousands of people who've seen that one. None of my deep in tweets, none of the stuff where I actually know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Just gotta like rage about Elon, and it'll bait everyone into engage
Yeah. Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And I'm a
So
super fan
yeah.
of Elon. So maybe I feel bad that like that's the best thing that the best thing I did on
I know,
X
yeah.
was to
Well, you got
bitch
to
about
take
it.
it up with Nikita, the product guy at Twitter these days. So
Yeah.
he'd be the one to figure that out.
But it would like, cause that would be super useful for this, cause this is where I get most of the data anyway. I used to go through all the discords and see what people were announcing, but I found that X is where everybody actually talks about the most recent stuff. So I can just go to X for
Hmm.
each project's news. And it seems so straightforward to take like, hey, show me the last 7 days, feed this into an LLM, tell me what's new. Here's the specific prompt that I'll build for state of the networks. Like that would be such a nice product instead of me building
Right.
this thing every single week. But it's just way too expensive to do it API wise.
It's
And
an
you can
interesting.
fuck good.
Yeah. Well, this brings me back to the whole Discord thing. Like the data, like the info isn't actually in there anymore. And it kind of reminds me like for a period, folks were just like trying to incentive through airdrops, right? You incentivize people to get into your Discord.
Yep.
And then you just had people farming accounts to be in Discords, and the signal noise just blew away any value that existed in those places. Whereas Twitter, you get upvotes and all that other stuff. Like you can kind of like see the actual good content there.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, I just connected some dots on that. Like other other Discord servers have also sort of suffered in that. Uh, anyway,
Yeah. Well, that's nice of you to say,
State
Six
of
One. I'm
network. Yeah.
good with Sutton.
Yeah.
Don't need X.
I mean, yeah, you'll get the summary here once a week. That's or
Yeah, yeah, and I think we got it down to like
whenever
under five
whenever we're
minutes
around.
now.
Yeah.
It's like five minutes of DePIN and then 55 minutes of whatever's going on in our crazy tech nerd lives.
Yep.
Hey,
Which
no
is
hot
usually the
tip.
cooler part.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Any hot tips? I think you've just said to do it, and I just don't want to. I'm like a 5 year old. On, I've got these pieces for the sled. So the sled has it. There's an axle that turns. It drives this um, pulley, drives another pulley, goes to the alternator, spins the alternator shaft, and that's where the energy comes out or the electricity comes out. And
Mhm.
dude, I had GPT explain to me how an alternator works. That was the coolest thing. I had no idea how it worked. And by the end, it's like, oh, this is the whatever it was, the rotator. And this is the next thing. This is the stator, and this is how it works. And it drives this, and here's DC
Mhm.
and AC, and the rest. I was like, oh, and diodes. Like, I didn't know any of that half an hour ago. And now, like, I have an understanding of like, oh, when you spin a magnet, it fucking keeps knocking these atoms off, and they cruise down this thing, and they can't go backwards, so they only go forwards. It's like, ah, very cool.
Oh, it's super cool. Yeah. So, are you gonna get yourself a alternator or a
Oh, I got one. Yeah, I went down to the
whatever?
junkyard and got
You
one. It
got one.
was super quite a fun,
Awesome.
super fun time. I went
Yeah.
down by myself the first time, and then the second time I needed something else. And so one of my buddies, who's like not a professional junker, but he's been doing it forever, he's like, "I'll go with you." And it was rad to walk around with him because he'd go buy something, and be like, "Dude, that's a skid plate off a 1964 thing. Like I think my buddy needs back that." And he just dropped down on his hands and knees and like unscrew this skid plate from the bottom of some Ford van and pull it off. And like he had a
Amazing.
it was awesome to be around it.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. So yeah,
I,
I've got the alternator. I went and bought this thing from Infineon called a Profet, Profet, and that will allow me to basically when you all these alternators now have like a voltage regulator in them, but you don't want that for what I'm doing. You want the ability to tie the alternator output to a what's the fucking fancy word for it? Like a little spinny dial. So when you turn the dial up, you're basically making
mhm.
it harder to turn, but you can get more energy out when you turn the dial down. It's easier to turn, but you get less energy out. So it means that I can have like a mom and her kid push the sled and it's not overwhelming. Or like the rugby player down the street who's a fucking monster can put the thing to
Yep.
11 and get after it. And everybody's got
Yeah.
like their chance to do it. Um, so I've got to tie all this stuff together. So all of that came in, but all of that stuff is like little circuit boards. And so the question on the 3D print side is like, all right, I'm going to have to build like a 3D
Mm.
stand for this thing. And I want LLMs to be at the point where like I take a picture, I'm like, hey, spit
I
out the
know.
file so I
Yeah.
can print it, but it's not there.
Yeah. The CAD CAM stuff isn't quite there yet, in my experience.
Yeah.
They're trying.
No,
Yeah.
no, it ends up being in, I think Nos was like, oh, it's so easy, you got to do it. And I think you've told me like, oh, try it with Blender. It's a little bit difficult, but that's like a great open source thing. And
Wait, I wouldn't have said that. Blender's hard to use. You
maybe you
could
said like
use.
try Blender, it's hard mode. And I was like, oh, that sounds exciting. And it just kicked my ass. And I was
Okay.
like, all right, fuck it. It's way too hard.
Yeah. I mean I'm pretty deep into Fusion 360, or I guess they just call it Fusion now. But it gets the job done for me. Um, but yeah, you could do Fusion or Blender. Um, I've done some of my first 3D modeling was in Blender, and it took time.
Yeah, yeah. All
So
right. So
yeah,
Fusion 360, and it's just some membership that you buy and then you're done.
I think there's a free tier too. Like there's a community edition or something like that out
No.
there, or your educational. Right, you
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that I got
get
my
the good
education. That
stuff
was the other
there.
thing I do in my
Yeah.
sewing class, and that's been super fun. And of course, it's like this is the method. Is I go to the class, everyone else is there, they're all super quiet, and I think we're now in week 4, and I was like, hey, everybody come over to the Paleo Treats shop and we'll all like iron and cut our patterns out together. And now the class is like coming over to Paleo Treats tomorrow at like 11:11 to go iron and do all of our stuff together. It's like, God,
Awesome.
just crushing
That's
building community wherever I go.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it takes somebody to kick that stuff off. We've got about 10 minutes left here.
Shoot.
I had one more other thing on the agenda for my end of things. There's been all of this back and forth on the IoT network around seat fees. Um, which I know
Okay.
you had some real strong opinions about. So we've done a bunch of review, a bunch of analysis, a bunch of trying to understand the perspective of builders on the network, and then of course impacts on hotspot deployments and all that other stuff. Ultimately, we've made the decision on the Nova Lab side. I've chatted through this with Amir and all these other folks that we will not implement seat fees on the IoT network.
It's
Um,
badass. I'm
so
sorry, Neil.
I know that,
BFG's got
yeah,
good ideas, but I didn't like that one.
he does have good ideas, and this has been a long running thing. I think we've been at this for almost a year now. I did a version of it back when I was sleep deprived in Singapore for Breakpoint last year. Um, uh, I think Armand did a turn on it. Pierre did a turn on it. He's the other dev on HPR.
Yep.
Um, and then Neil sort of took the helm, so it did a lot of development. So I grabbed time with Neil last week, sort of had a little one-on-one with him, gave him the full rundown. We talked about it on the IoT working group on Monday. So just sort of getting the word out a little bit that the IoT network is stable. Usage can be predictable, right? It's one of the really key things for network users and pulling the trigger on getting stuff going. So that's where things are at on that front.
Badass. And my takeaway there with the IoT thing, because I've heard that IoT is dead for years now and it continues to work, is that this is me saying it, is that Amir started off with IoT. He loves it. It's relatively
Mm-hmm.
cheap for Nova to be like, fuck it, we'll pay whatever it is per month. And I'm making this up, 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever it is, to run like the
Sure.
infra behind IoT. We're just going to run it. And you guys do whatever you want with it. It's just going to work for as long as we exist as a company, because that's a drop in the bucket compared to what we're doing. And it's good enough, like anyone can build on it now. And so other than supporting it financially, which is probably the most important part, we're not going to fuck with it. We're not going to do like the
Mhm.
marketing stuff. We're not going to push it out. Like, you guys figure it out. You got this big gift, go use it. I think that's like my takeaway from the whole thing.
I literally in the chat that I had with Amir is like, it's a public good, right? We created something pretty incredible. This is connectivity across the globe. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than anything else that was ever out there. And so go glue it together with TTI or any other
With
public
whatever.
network, and you get whatever it is that you need, right? Like your
Yeah.
own gateways with some Helium. Um, so yeah,
What
that is kind of my take on it. And then the most important thing for the network in terms of like actually getting our hands dirty is driving usage. So that's where those ongoing conversations are happening. I'm constantly chatting with folks that are doing building stuff and all that. But yeah.
Yeah. Wow, look at
Yeah.
this. So, what's this sensor catalog thing? 619 had talked to me about sensor catalog stuff last week, and then apparently there's something out there, or no?
Um,
He sent me something.
I
It's like, oh
mean,
yeah, it's out there.
yeah, the Lore Alliance keeps a catalog of all of the certified devices
Okay.
that come through the Lore Alliance. So that's if somebody's trying to look for a device, that would be sort of the place to point them. That by no means is all of the devices that could work on Helium.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
I showed
Neil
off
put
once
something
the
up on it. Okay,
yeah, okay, yeah. So like,
cool.
yeah, Neil keeps an index on his website of the devices they directly support, and so
Yep.
that's something that they have worked with. They've validated to be good. They've got decoders for. They've got pipelines for. Right, like that's a threshold for them. Um,
Okay.
but
We have
realistically,
like a
anything that's LoRaWAN 1.0 dot whatever is going to work on Helium 1.1 also with some
1.0.3.
caveats. But yeah, that'll
Yeah,
work.
it'll work.
Yeah,
220,
yeah. One
221.
dot the one dot. Don't get me started on. Ugh,
It's like, dude, we got 6 minutes. We can't get too deep in any of this shit.
you're gonna make me yeah, do that thing. Uh,
Okay, so there's the
the
sensor thing. And then
yeah
what was Travis saying? What would it take for
one
a company to take over helium routing? Oh, there's
one
only
dot
one.
one does some different stuff. But anyway, um,
Noted.
what would it take for what's the question?
For a company to take over helium routing, I think it's just you'd have to be able to spend money every month, is my guess. And
They would
probably
yeah they
hire
would need to
Mugi and someone else.
Yeah, probably also that. The There is little reason to move the infrastructure unless somebody was like really willing to take that over. Um, I have looked at it because it's an interesting thing to entertain and sort of have as a card in the sleeve. Um, like fortunately everything is set up with DNS, so it's not like hard coded IP addresses throughout the thing. Those DNSs unfortunately are tied directly with the Helium name. So you've got all these gateways out there that are trying to phone home to Helium. So we'd have to make sure that those things are routed appropriately if somebody were to go take over those systems. Um, Firmware updates are a little challenging.
Okay.
Anyway, there is a rough path to be able to get to some of that stuff. But it would the high level is you would need a competent, eager team to go do that.
Not like Meshtastic taking over Helium.
Yeah,
Competent,
that doesn't
eager,
make
and
any sense.
well-funded team.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, just to throw like a idea out there, it's like, would it make sense for the Lore Alliance to take over or something like that? That would be an interesting angle. They become a blockchain entity or something like that. Or TTI has expressed interest in the past, like before Helium existed, they tried to take a crypto approach. Like, would they be an interesting candidate for something like that? Well funded, smart, like
Yep.
those could be good candidates there. But they don't really get the blockchain part. So there's trade-offs on all angles there. Um, so I'm happy for Nova to be able to, like you said, like they're going to pay the bill, they're going to keep the thing going. They want to see people go do cool shit with it.
Yeah.
So
And I think someone will figure it out where it's like, oh, this is actually something extraordinarily valuable. And they're willing to continue to pay for it at some higher level until then it's like, oh, dude, it's fucking great. People, I don't know who, I don't know off the top of my head how much the highest paying customer on MeteoScientific pays, but I'm going to guess it's like $80 a month or something. And they run a shitload of devices. And it's
uh,
like, for that thing where you're not, maybe it's less, maybe it's more. I should pay more
mhm.
attention to that. It's like for that amount, they're running, I don't look at their stuff because it's not my business, but they're running a business on that. And for $80 a month, it's kind of like the same thing as the Cloudflare thing. For $5 a month, you have like the unlimited ability to build anything you want. It's cheap enough. Like
Yeah,
go build the things. That's the
yeah,
problem. It's not that they need to be cheaper or better or whatever. It's like, just go build the shit.
yeah. And I think I'm seeing people building on Helium faster because of LLMs too, which is also exciting. Like that
Yeah.
multi-gateway stuff I was talking about sort of ahead of the call, like people are doing that because they don't have to think about the really hard nuance of how to implement that stuff. They can just kind of like start building.
Ooh, I don't think, let me see if this thing, because Nick Huff and I were working on this piece. Oh, I don't know that it's totally ready for release. Maybe I'll send it to you, Joey, and you can look at it. But it's like integrating an LLM into MeteoScientific.
Mm,
So yeah, I'll send you this thing. I don't know if you'll even be able to sign up and it'll work because we haven't touched it in a week or two.
sure.
But it was super fun. It was a thing where it's like, all right, you could take this entity and plug it into any website, and it would basically just be a chatbot that knew everything about MeteoScientific and ChirpStack and Helium, and was like, yeah,
Mm.
let me help you onboard your device. So you haven't got to join. This is probably why. Go check this out.
Yeah,
So
that'd be handy. Decoders always come to mind as the just
I just sent it to Travis.
I'd
Travis,
like
don't
to.
fucking share that
Yeah,
around because it's not ready for public use, and I'll send it to Joey. But
cool.
this is something I was working on. Um,
Cool.
but yeah.
Very
And the reason I'm not sharing it for the general public is it doesn't fucking work fully, and I don't want you to get in and sign up for something where it's like, now this thing doesn't work. So
Hmm.
that's it. Well,
Oh, it just plugs straight in there. Look at
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Interesting. All right, I'll give that a little whirl.
yeah.
All right. Well, we filled that time real well.
Cool. Good talk. Good to see you. I missed this IoT working group. I'm assuming no no news came about the podcast because I didn't get an email. But at some point I'll hear back about that and we'll square it away. So
Yeah, now we're getting some moving some grant stuff around and trying to refigure things there. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll
Yeah.
get a
Yeah. Like
clear,
I think it's one of
clear
those things
outcomes.
like if IoT and HF wants to do that, great. I'm happy to do it. It's super fun to do. If they don't want to do it, bummer because it's a fun thing, but also like fucking A, there's many other things in the world to do. So
Yeah,
it's out there. All right, Doug. Super good to see you. I will see you next week. We're done.
sounds good. All right,
Thanks, guys.
later.